So hi everybody and welcome back. This is the complete model of my RWB Rauwelbegriff Porsche 964, the Clohe Apple car. Everything started, I think now 4 or 5 years ago, because I crossed this guy from Hong Kong, David Leong, I think it was the name, I think it was the real name. Sometimes the guys from Asia change their own name in something more friendly for people from the West. But I think it was his real name, and it was an exceptional modeler, that made some JDM and some very particular conversion on 1/24 scale. Then I was also following his personal page, and something has happened with probably something connected to hilt issue, and so I could not keep on with the good job that he was making. But I crossed him, as I said, I think now 4 or 5 years ago, because he designed this beautiful decal for this particular version of the RWB. I think he also bought my models for sure, the on the NSX, and I think also my RWB car, the narrow body. This is instead the decal that he made for this type of car that at the time didn't exist, so probably was also planning to do something like this, or was expecting somebody to do the body in 1/24 scale. I was thinking about that because I never get so satisfied by all the conversion that I found around, unless I crossed this one that is the 3D conversion made by Janets, JPG Models 81. He's a guy that I crossed originally in YouTube, and sorry, not in YouTube, but in eBay, and he was proposing some printing of surely other people STL files and cast. I think this guy is an architect from Yugoslavia, and incredibly skilled in the printing. What surprises me was that he offered a very, very good quality at an extremely affordable price, and this was basically the conversion that was available in America by Black Box, so probably kept in touch with the original file STL and he printed. Of course, being myself in Europe, European based, it is much more cheaper to buy something from somebody that is also from Europe instead of buying something directly from the United States, even more now. And I crossed this, I was thinking, beautiful conversion. I think this guy Janets is not a real modeler inside this stuff. Probably he build up models, but not probably at this level, because this original conversion, they blame basically the quality of the black box designer, of the original black box designer, that was making this beautiful conversion. But the problem was that, first of all, the indication of the model that you should use for this build-up was indicated like the best pre-bumper version of the Porsche, that was the Turbo 88 from Tamiya. Instead, the narrow, the Porsche RWB, sorry, not narrow, but this Clohe Apple is based on the 964, so there is some critical differences that is basically about the rear lenses, the drop mirrors, and some other smaller detail, all the interior. So it's, in my opinion, not so correct to indicate the base from Tamiya just because Tamiya made the best model ever. Every time I talk about this model, I think is important to understand that you have to start absolutely from a 964 model. You already seen, I think, 3 or 4 videos about this car, and now it's the complete. It's the day when the car is finally finished. I'm really satisfied with the final result. Of course, half of the model here is basically about the setup of the car, the setup and the stance that the car have to have when you complete it. I made the open side windows to show something inside, even if I think the real one had some slightly different part. First of all, the rims were not exactly like the Clohe Apple. Clohe Apple have a kind of mesh, a little different mesh in the interior side. But I could not make it, and I honestly didn't want to go further in efforts to make it really close to what it is, basically a toy for a rich guy. I think somewhere in Austria is owned this car, and basically the livery I love it so much because it was resembling the K3 from the 80 that I probably will buy shortly forward after this model. And as I said, I'm really satisfied because the overall look becomes quite interesting and really well taken. What it is absolutely different from the 3D model that you can have online. And this type of model that I did that was specifically for this Apple car was the rear wing, you know, because the rear wing was a two-floor wing, probably with I don't know which kind of purpose, probably just aesthetical purpose, you know. And it was good because Modello 24 made also the proper decal to do this version, you know, in the proper dimension, in the proper size. So it really made an awesome work. I hope that you can see someday this video and really get my appreciation for the big, incredible job that he did. And now, of course, that I finished the model, there is a lot of people asking me about those decals. Those decals were actually printed in Italy by Incam, I think, so the quality was extremely good. Also the color are extremely matching and very well done, you know. It's anyway still a kind of decal that is not the ultra professional decal of the really recent models. It is something artisanal, but they really work extremely well. A little bit thick in some point, but I think extremely well done. And then, like a final touch, I make the evidence of the black panel line with some black oil paint. You know, I use this type of paints. Those are funny because this is the color coming from a company that is basically 500 meters from my apartment in Milano. So the company is there and I buy them here in Sweden. This is nearly done. This is a black. Nero d'Avorio is a really full black. Full, I mean really covering black. There is some black that have some shades of gray inside, but this is a full black oil color that you can thinner with a liquid thinner, and extremely diluted and thinnered for the panel line. You can do this kind of effect. Just always be careful that all the model have to be completely dry, because otherwise the thinner that you use for that color will make it return to life to the color that you have here. Here we have a base that it is made with lacquer color, a main color that is made with an acrylic color, an upper color that is made with the gloss that is another lacquer color. So it's really easy to make a mess when you take it away the over part of it. So you have a little to be with a little experience about this type of job. But I think it really gives a very nice and satisfactory feeling of the final look of the real Clohe. You know, this is something that doesn't exist at all in 24 scale, even less in this version. You know, there was a very nice model made by Alpha Model Hobby Design. Basically, it was still with the firm Hobby Design, because before they changed the name in Alpha Model, and they made an exceptional model of the 964, correct one, of course. Like, they do extremely good quality stuff, and they care about this. I see that they really want modelers around to talk good about what they do, because the quality is really impressive from Alpha Model. But it was already an out of stock item, and they made it with a wonderful Martini livery, silver and Martini livery, fantastic. It's another real livery of the Rauwelt, and probably surely you will never see this type of model, because the royalties from Apple are probably something that will not arrive to this type of models, you know. So this is a very unique model. I don't know if it exists, probably exists in 1/18 scale, and I wanted it to have absolutely for my collection of RWB. Now I have, I think, 4 or 5 of them already made in 24 scale, and I don't know how many people have so many RWB like I do right now. It's really a type of Porsche that I really appreciate. You understand it from my videos, the good job made by Akira Nakai. So that's it. I think is one of my best ever, and the details are quite stunning. You know, I try to copy it as much as I could, you know, because there is some difference. For example, in front of this, they had written in German, it's Zweite Entwicklung, that means the second development. The first development was over the 993, the second one arrived over the 964. But unfortunately, the decal, I placed it there. This is not so correct for the real Clohe, because that yellow was absolutely not covering over the white here. So I used the Nillest, that is another sponsor typical from RWB, that was arriving from my conversion of the RWB narrow body, the blue one that I already made 3 or 4 years ago now. That's it. I think the car is absolutely fantastic, and made some better picture in my website and in my social media, so you can find them online. And really satisfied with this amazing and super special Porsche. Will be tricky to maneuver because with this big wing I made it in a little bit steady way. This is extremely complicated because I had to build it up with part of the aluminium can coming from a beer can, that type of very thin aluminium. When you clean it completely became like a blade, you know, so the thickness is like a real photo etched set. As you can see, the side mirror is completely, you see how thin it is, you nearly don't see the line of it. And then I adapted two double wings coming from the 993 GT2 from Tamiya. That two part is something that always remains in my kit. It was a leftover, you know, just to resemble how it was on the original model. I'm really in love with this car, so for me is absolutely one of the best models I made about this type of subjects. You know, some people say that I just build up Porsches, you know, another Porsche. Yes, it's another one because I love them and I plan to do much more. So that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one.